Oh. Hey guys, Adam here from Travel Inspired. I hope you're all having a great week so far. So in today's video I want to talk about travel writing and how you can get more of your articles published in magazines, giving you more exposure and open up new opportunities. And first things first, I just wanted to share my story on how I became a published travel writer. I started to write about trips that I'd been on overseas and just your normal backpacking trips. So I was in Turkey travelling around for 6 weeks and I wrote maybe half a dozen articles. I published them on a very simple website that I built. I had no expectations, I was just enjoying the process of writing, and also the web development side was all new to me and it was something that I was just enjoying doing and learning some new skills. And I pushed them out to my friends via Facebook and that was it. A couple of years passed by and I was out for breakfast with some friends. And one of my friends said, why don't you think about getting back into travel writing? And that was really the catalyst for me kicking off again. A few weeks after that breakfast, it was my birthday and my partner arranged a hike. We both love hiking and it was on the Paikakiriki Trail and the Kapiti Coast in Wellington. And the track had only just opened, we did the hike and I wrote an article about the hike. I put that up on my website and I also sent it to stuff.co.nz, and there was a reader's contribution section. Sent it in, didn't really think anything of it, appeared on the website, did very well, and then they published it in the Dominion Post. And that really was the start of the travel bug, the travel writing bug, at least for me. And I submitted maybe 3 or 4 articles after the Paikakiriki walk articles that were all published on the website, and 2 or 3 of them went on to also be included in the newspaper again. So as I say, I was hooked. I had the travel writing bug. However, the problem that I was suffering from was that I wasn't travelling. I was at home, I was in Wellington, New Zealand. I was working 5 days a week as a contractor specialising in project planning, and I needed to find material and subjects to write about. So what I did is I looked on my doorstep and what Wellington could offer me. And on the weekends I would go out on short day hikes and I would film the experience, and then I would follow up writing an article and I would publish those on my website. And then that got me thinking about how I could increase my output. And it was something that I've been thinking about for a little while, and I actually chose to reduce my working week from 5 days a week to 4 days a week. So every Monday I would take off, and that just obviously extended my weekend, and that gave me a lot more time to get out and about more frequently, film more, and produce more content, and obviously write more articles. And one of the defining moments as a travel writer, and where I saw the prospects of travel writing as a career really take a step up, was my partner saying that she wanted to volunteer overseas. Now it was something she had wanted to do for a long time, and we were just trying to figure out the right timing. We decided to volunteer with VSA, a New Zealand organisation, Volunteer Services Abroad. If you haven't checked them out online. They've got some incredible vacancies available right now in some amazing places, and highly recommend it. So before we knew it, we were touching down here in the autonomous region of Bougainville, Papua New Guinea, and being an accompanying partner meant that I had no official assignment. So I had plenty of time to focus on the things that I wanted to spend more time on. 1 was travel writing. 2 was building up my travel-inspired website via WordPress. 3 was building up an online community. 4 was my photography and video making skills. 5 was getting out and about as much as I could, to go on as many adventures as I could of hiking, snorkeling, island hopping. And then 6, I wanted to give back to the community and give back to Bougainville. And the way that I figured I could make the biggest difference was to utilise those skills that I was spending time on and promote Bougainville as an off the beaten track destination and all the potential tourism opportunities that it offered. Okay, so how can you get more of your articles published? I guess the journey over the last 2 or 3 years that I've been talking about, I wanted to share with you because there's a lot of lessons that I've learned during that period, and a lot of them I've picked up just from having gone through the experience. So firstly, you have to find your subject, your content that you're going to write about. My niche is outdoorsy adventures and hiking. However, that doesn't mean that I won't write about different aspects of travel. Personally, if I think about the last few articles that I've written and have published, they vary quite widely. On one hand, you've got a very adventurous full-day hike. Over here, you've got a fairly luxurious, relaxing, laid-back guest house at the water's edge on a small island here in Bougainville, Papua New Guinea. Don't be afraid to kind of go outside of your box, your chosen niche slightly, in order to get your articles published. And then once you've found the subject that you want to focus in on and make your niche, you also need to put yourself out there and experience as much of that subject as you can. So like I say, for me it was hiking, so I get out and I hike as many times as I can and I share those experiences. So if you're into food and drink, you obviously need to be out there going to cafes, going to restaurants and experiencing food and drink. And that gives you lots and lots of content and experiences that you can share through your travel writing. And also one of the most challenging areas for me was getting someone to proofread my work. It was something that I took very personally, and for me it's my partner that proofreads all of my work. And she's very honest, and sometimes it seems like she can be very harsh, and like I say, I take it very personally. But it's something that has made a massive improvement on not only my work, but also to the way that I think about stories and articles and the way that I construct my articles. I tend to sit on my articles overnight and then come back to them the following day and reread them. Now, a top tip is not to underestimate the photographs in any particular article. When I look back now at some of my older articles, I can immediately tell the difference in the quality of photographs that I'm taking. When I'm out and about now and I'm looking for photographs, I'm thinking about the story that I want to tell, not only from the written word in the article, but also from my photographs. And I'm making sure that I get the photographs that I want for my article. Now, to get your work published by a magazine, you obviously need to know which magazines are likely to publish the work that you've written. So for me, I went into a magazine shop or a coffee shop in New Zealand and I looked at all the potential magazines that were related to outdoorsy, adventure, hiking, and I approached Say Yes to Adventure, a New Zealand magazine about outdoorsy people with inspirational stories to share. And I pitched a story to them that was about a 14-day bicycle ride from Picton in the South Island of New Zealand down to Wanaka via the west coast. And after a few emails back and forth, they accepted my proposal, and I was super excited. It was going to be my first published piece in a magazine, and it was a magazine that I really loved. Now, that article probably took me 2 to 3 weeks to complete. It was one of the most challenging articles I've ever written, and also the photographs, they needed to be top notch. So I spent a long time working on my photographs and a long time working on my article. Now, this wasn't a paid gig, this was all free, but the exposure that it gave me and the work that came off the back of that article being published was worth every second I spent working on that article. And obviously you can always look online too, so use your social media platforms to find brands that may potentially want to publish your work. So think about your niche and your subject that you're writing about. There's an unlimited number of places that want content and will probably be willing to share what you can offer them. And one of my top tips is not to take rejection personally. A lot of the places I approach, you'll never even hear back from them, and some of them you will hear back with a rejection email, and it's the ones that do come back that say, yes, I love the idea of the proposals. That's the ones you need to focus on. Forget about the rejection ones, you can move on. You can reach out to them at some point in the future. And once you've been accepted to submit an article for publication to a magazine or a brand or a group or a page, a business, whatever it is, it's vitally important not just to rest on your laurels. It can feel good to have one article published, but you need to use that momentum. You need to take that momentum and you need to reach out to new brands. When you've got that article published, that's your perfect opportunity to put yourself out there and try and get more work off the back of that one article. So one of the key factors here is to maintain those relationships. It may be people that you've never met in your life, however you need to maintain those ongoing relationships. Or whoever it may be you're talking to, give them regular progress updates, maybe send them a draft copy of the article and some example photos. You don't just disappear until the deadline and submit it just before the deadline. Keep yourself in the forefront of their mind. It's easy to let people slip off the radar if they're not in front of you or you're not in contact with them regularly. So keep in regular contact, give them regular progress updates, give them snippets of your article, like I say, drafts and photographs, and keep that relationship ticking over. So once you've got these relationships and you're maintaining the relationships online or face-to-face if possible, don't be afraid to ask them for recommendations on people that you could get in contact with, where you could potentially establish new relationships. And also reach out to friends and family and ask them which magazines or which brands or which groups and pages they like to follow and get their recommendations too. And something that will help massively as a travel writer looking to get work published is having an online presence. Everyone seems to have an online presence nowadays, and there's a reason for that. It's vitally important for people to find you and to reach out. So for me, I've got my website, travelinspired.co.nz. I've also got my Travel Inspired Facebook page and Instagram and YouTube accounts. And from those platforms, people can reach out to me and contact me via email or via those platforms themselves. And that happens fairly often, as that people will approach me having seen one of those platforms. And also, they're super valuable for promoting your own work. So even if you're not getting published in a magazine, you can promote your work through those platforms, put them on your website, and there they can live to be found organically through Google ranking and through searches. And the final point is you've got to hustle. You've got to hustle hard. It seems obvious, but it's relentless. You have to make proposals, you have to reach out, you have to be writing, you have to be putting yourself out there, experiencing new things. It's non-stop. And like I say, don't rest on your laurels. Keep pushing and using any articles you do get published as a platform for reaching out to new potential places where you can get future articles published. So I hope you found this video useful and enjoyable. I've got a grass trimmer out there now, just cutting the grass, and that's going to go on for hours, and horrible noise, but hopefully you won't be able to hear that too much. If you enjoyed the video, give it a big thumbs up, really appreciate it. Hit subscribe, hit the little bell, and yeah, hustle hard. And if you've got any questions at all, drop them in the comments, and I'm always happy to answer any questions at all. Cheers guys.
I've got you on film. You're on camera now.
Oh, that was a beautiful swim. Nice and cold.